changed up. We're going to be moving now into Village instead of into Sanctum. So we're not going to be seeing that Hurricane special with a triple DPS straight away. Instead, going to be taking it easy, going down to the low ground where the point is here. I'll have to see what these teams bring out. Does it like Bucket is, well, they're teasing us, George. They're teasing us.
I was going to say, hang on a second, Bucket. He does play this in, yeah. There's
Couple
no
of
way
shenanigans going on here.
I mean, he definitely wants to bring out the fire, I can tell, you know, that projectile DPS. Funny Astro is going to be subbed in for British Hurricane, as always, on these control maps. It's either Hollywood or Control. That's his forte when it comes to the British Hurricane lineup and what he likes to play. But on Young and Beautiful side, quite rather tentatively, like we do have about 17 seconds remaining, we are seeing this triple tank come out with the Shadow running on the Junkrat, which has worked well for them thus far. It's not something we normally see in other regions, for example, Reaper or even CIS Hope coming into group stages. They like to run the Reaper on the defense, just hold the point, hug it tight, and just hope for the best.
And why not? Ben Best is a fantastic Ryan Hart. I'd personally rate a little bit higher than his Winston. Really knows how to swing that hammer, but he's going to be met by fusions in the field, and he's going to have Craggy and Happy Cool at his back. And we know that Craggy's an incredibly dangerous Zarya. He builds up that energy so quickly, and the Gravitons to match. It does look like British Hurricane, they decided they're going to go all the way around here. It's going to be a meet up on the high ground, a very rare occurrence here on Village.
Yeah, and a very rare occurrence we actually see mirror comps as well. Especially from a Hurricane, they normally like to take the fight to them.
All right, okay.
Ben Best showing off his sense. All right, they're going to make the first move. British Hurricane using that speed boost to gain control of the high ground. And with Ben Best is actually falling. This is really bad for them. He's holding up his shield to try and stay alive, but the rest of Young and Beautiful have to escape. Shadow ends up going down first, though, as Kib has managed to secure the kill, at least first up. They're going to move forward, although that one high charge Zarya, Craggy's going to make short work of them. Ben Best is going to fall as well. That will lead the point to being capped by British Hurricane.
That was all down to Kib, a well-placed concussion mine threw Ben out of the conflict, meant for the rest of Young and Beautiful, which is the big meaty ball into which British Hurricane could lay down all of their arms and fire, build up a huge amount of ult percentage as well as pick up some kills as well. They've got the first control here, and Young and Beautiful are going to be going straight to the point, but Ben Best has been waylaid. There's a trap.
Oh, there's the coalescence as well. Just get a shield on him. It might be a little too late, or at least for the back line. If Young and Beautiful it is, Ding and Shadow end up going down to Kib's tire. Build that up in the first fight. Very clean and easy wipe here coming through for Hurricane, and they still have a couple of ults to work with, only expending 2 there. Bucket still has that coalescence. Funny Astro working towards the sound barrier, but most importantly, that grab's coming online so quickly.
Great resource economy there from British Hurricane. They only required Kib and his tire, and of course he managed to get Ding as he popped the coalescence as well, so that's a tool that's not going to be in the box here for Young and Beautiful if they come through. They're all going to pile in behind Ben Best, get that speed boost going. Ben Best up in the air again, but it's going to be a very aggressive come in here from Shadow.
There's the grab, there's the mines, all the damage from Kib. He's got another tire available as well. Fusion just wipes the floor with the entirety of that roster as well, as they're all clumped up. Only one ultimate required, or in fact, Bucket did actually expend that coalescence as well. Happy Cool using that self-destruct. So tell a lie, it was actually 3 rather than 1. See, maths, not my strong suit, but it's getting there, Harry.
Counting to 3, Jaws' mission here. Overwatch League.
I'm trying.
Overwatch Contenders Season 1. Young and Beautiful are taking a different approach of it, going through the high ground. Ben Best has almost got that Earth Shadow, but Fusion's got it to match. It's going to be a tale of 2 Reinhardts here. Who's going to lay down the more fatty Shatty?
Well, there's the tire. Here it comes again. If Kib finds another couple of kills, Ding looking sky high, see if he can find it, but Kib, being a rather sneaky boy, is going to find a little bit of damage. Only onto Tensi's Mac, in fact. There's a coalescence coming out to heal them all up, and there's a return tire coming through for the side of Young and Beautiful, but it gets instantly destroyed. Self-destruct on the point, though, isn't going to go quite as waylaid. Happy Cool ends up falling to Ding and Tensi alike. Ben Best gets the pin on Bucket, and it's just all about playing the point now. A lot of grenades are throwing in by Kib. He can build up another tire. He might be able to save this one, but Ben Best is swinging the hammer and does what he does best. Takes out a couple of kills. 100% charge on Dempsey with the Graviton Surge. It's just best. Hurricane back off for the time.
There we go. 99% of the pressure on, but Young and Beautiful did not break under such. Dempsey, Gustav, and Ben Best all saving their ultimates, but so did Fusions. And one well-placed Earth Shadow, as we've seen before from the likes of Sharrock, is more than enough to win a fight, and Fusions is certainly capable of that. Ben Best is going to have to be on point with Gustav here to move back, make sure they can't be sped boost through and shattered. Funny Astro here, he's going to be the tempo setter when it comes to this attack. He's going to have Fusions at his side.
I like this play here. Young and Beautiful just baiting them in to make sure Dempsey can get more than a 2-man grab. Speaking of grabs, though, that's a double one, in fact. There's Bucket with the coalescence. This is going to find a couple of members. That Shatter did find 2 as well. Craggy takes out Gustav. Man advantage now for British Hurricane. They still have that tire available to them as well. Point ticks over, 99% to 36, and the overtime is now ticking down. Dempsey finds the return kill, but Fusions finds himself on the back line. Didn't stand a chance without the shift. There goes Tensi as well. It was Baby Diva. 99% ticking over. There's only a little bit of time you can actually stall with there, Gustav. That'll be Hurricane taking Village. It's only a matter of time before that ticks over.
And unfortunately, when Ben Best was stuck in that grab, it was very difficult for him to get the appropriate shield angle to block the Earth Shadow that came in from Fusions. He managed to block it against himself and a couple of his teammates, but a couple still went down. That meant their abilities, they weren't there. They weren't able to try and help them defend themselves when we were all stuck together. Again, that group hug treatment by Craggy. Dempsey sent out the counter graviton as well, trying to make sure that no one could follow up as well, but unfortunately, wasn't enough here to try and secure it for Young and Beautiful. Now, as we move into the Shrine stage, might see a little bit of change up in terms of compositions here, Jaws. It's you can run so many things here. We've seen over in Korea, Triple Tank and Reaper, a personal favorite of yours, I know.
Oh, yes, it is. Although, I do like seeing Jump Rat, I'm not going to lie. It's always fun to see ultimates being flung out, even though Tyra is a little bit ski-whiffed when it comes to actually taking out of the air. We've seen a couple thus far ultimate in Contenders, but yeah, rather powerful indeed. Doesn't like Hurricane this time around. Actually going for this Sombra and the Tracer as the DPS and just full-on dive with the rest of the team.
Fusion's returning to the Winston, going to be moving up against Ben Best, who's sticking to his beloved Reinhardt. He's got Gustav at his back. Oh, this is going to be very speedy as he moves through here, but we've got to watch out for Bucket in the back. He's going to be very vulnerable on that Lucio to an attack by Shadow, who's still on this Genji. He can make a flank if he so desires, and he's got Saini to back him up.
Craggy has found himself on Ding, but look at their positioning now. Ding is going extremely low, has to use that shift to get out of the way.
Oh,
does pick up the large health pack as well, but it was already hacked. Kib was making sure he secured that one fairly early, so there was no retreat for Ding. Shadow switching over to the Genji this time around is going to be very vulnerable to Kib. They are jumping onto the point, and it's going to be a hard-fought fight here as they do control these chokes. As soon as they walk through, they're going to get hacked, they're going to get killed.
Some 500 IQ hacks coming through there from Kib, making sure that Ding was baited into using that fade onto a hacked health pack. The rest of his team weren't there to try and defend him because, of course, he swapped verticality, as the rest of his team would have to give up the high ground and potentially expose themselves to boots from Funny Astro to go down and peel for Ding, who expected there to be more healing.
Look where he is. Craggy goes in with the sticky, but actually gets Eden in this time instead. Ding actually unleashes the Coalescence. Craggy's found himself an enemy Tracer, but as Sandbar is keeping him alive for the time being, they are managed to push themselves back, and with Ben Best down, that's a big front line now eradicated for the side of Young and Beautiful. Kib still holding on to that EMP as well. Craggy is already at 40% almost with that another pulse bomb, so he's working that ult one quite well. Shadow ends up going down to Bucket, and that'll be another quick fight ended by Hurricane.
Coalescence there traded for the sound barrier of Funny Astro. However, Bucket's still stalwart in the back. The Steely Will of Yomnik, meaning that Transcendence is ready to be brought out whenever it should be required. But Kib might be able to finish this one off quickly. He can lay down the EMP, maybe have it followed up by a self-destruct. They may only need the two ultimates here to try and hold.
Look how sneaky Krabby and Kib, well, it's Craggy not so much, but Kib is playing just invisible round the side. There's the Shadow, hits Kib, they have to take him out, but that Transcendence being used fairly early. It's going to leave Shadow with that opening for the blade, but he just gets chased out instantly. Funny Astro is going to find the kill on Ben Best. Now Craggy chasing the rest of the members of Young and Beautiful out of the playground. Kib is going to find Tensi, and that will end yet another fight. 75% on the clock. Young and Beautiful haven't had a single second to even touch it.
Earth Shadow traded out there for Transcendence. They're going to be pretty happy with that because now they can come in. Shadow has the blade. The landing strip has been cleared, but it's not going to be Hurricane making the landing. But
Kib, what is this? This massive deep dive for him gets the EMP on 5 members. Ben Best is going to find the returning kill on Fusions, but I think it's too little too late. So far up, do they now have to walk? Hafikul takes out Tensi's mech as well. We are looking at 95% on the clock, and Tensi, he knew it was all over from the get-go. Looks like it's going over to Hurricane. There's not much Dempsey can really do now. The blade finally coming out from Shadow. He jumps on the point, but very little support coming through. He's going to get hacked as well. No healing for you. Hafikul finds himself with a Buddy Blaster as well. Ben Best falling. Discord Orb. Too little, too late for him. Even Tensi, he's finding the respawn, but it is going to be all over. Overtime ticking down, and even Fusions with the Primal Rage knocking them straight out of dodge.
Unfortunately, not the beginning that Saini Young and Beautiful wanted here on Nepal, but I want to talk about that EMP that we saw out of Kib, because that was incredibly intelligent. You know why it was incredibly intelligent? Because it also hacks health packs. A lot of people sort of think it only hacks players, but no, it will also hack the health packs, and they are right next to a big mega health pack. And what that meant is that not only could he get a 5-man EMP, he could also stay in there for longer and lay down the damage, because he was on top of that 250 HP health pack. It's on a 4-second cooldown. He can stay around with the SMG, put down a little bit more damage before having to translocate out. The rest of his team could come in and follow follow-up as well.
Yeah, it was quite devastating, especially when the amount of speed-ups that Funny Astro does allow the rest of the team to do. Super easy follow-up. Kib really showing his stuff on that Sombra. No, Shadow, we know you can play it, mate, but let me take the mantle for the time being. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. That was Hurricane taking the map off of Young and Beautiful, but we'll be right back after these short breaks. Hey guys, welcome back after the breaks. I said breaks earlier. I don't know what I was thinking. It was only the singular break, but we are back. Map number 2 coming up on your screens very shortly. 1-0 up our British Hurricane right now. We know them to be a very momentum-based team. If they don't win 4-0, they do end up going to the 5th map. So maybe this is the start of the ball rolling.
Yeah, once they claim the first map, they're really sort of like get in the zone mentally. They're like, okay, this is our game, we're winning this, we know how to play against this team. But if they're waylaid in their first map, in control, for example, against Angry Titans, they start to falter. They start to have a couple of self-confidence issues, maybe like, are we playing this correctly? Do we know how to deal with this team? But of course, having won that, they're going to be feeling very good about themselves moving into our second map, which is going to be Numbani.
All right, okay. It was a loser's choice, so Young and Beautiful picking this one up. I'm not honestly surprised. I'm going to put that one out there right now, because Hollywood, for British Hurricane at least, they want to run Funny Astro more often than not, and that is one of his speciality maps. It's the only map that isn't control that he does work with the team on. So, Young and Beautiful now, what is their strat coming into this? Because, again, we put a lot of emphasis on Shadow being this kind of solo DPS in the back line, trying to take out the supports, but problem was we didn't actually see that last time around. It was British Hurricane, they were playing up, but Shadow just couldn't find an in.
Yeah, Shadow was having trouble having points of ingress where he wasn't taking too much damage from British Hurricane. They managed to play a little bit more defensively. We weren't seeing a huge amount of pressure on Bucket and Funny Astro in the backline. But now Funny Astro has been swapped out. Crusade's going to be coming in. But what I want to be seeing here is if we're going to see Bucket come out on the Ana, possibly one of the best Anas in all of Europe. I'll say that quite unashamedly. I've seen it before. Bucket's Ana is amazing. And Numbani first point is one of the very few points where you can run Ana very effectively because of the inherent high ground of the defense. You can lay down those biotic grenades pretty much with impunity, and if someone dives you can lay down the sleep dart. It's very easy for the remainder of your team to counter dive and get them off the high ground so that your Ana's safe for a while longer.
Well, instead, let's correct you completely, because in fact, Bucket is actually going to run the Zen. It looks like Crusade jumping on to the Mercy in this time around. So, switching up their supports. Kib jumping off the edge, but I can imagine he's going to go back to that Soldier. Will make a lot of sense here, putting a lot of resources in the Kib basket, having that damage boost available to him, just double pocketing him, the trifecta as we've been calling it over the last couple of weeks. Wouldn't be such a shocker to me. And then the rest of the team just going standard dive here. Kib's going to have a lot of protection. Bionic Field is going to help out Bucket as well on the Zenyatta. There's a lot of tools to this comp, but realistically, you just want to pocket Kib. This guy's a beast.
Tip for tat, heal for heals. If Kib gets the Harmony Orb, lays down the Biotic Field, and and gets the healing
You're
from
not
Crusade.
You're not dying.
He's getting like 130 HPS there, so you're going to need a huge amount of damage and concentrated fire on him to get through that. But Young and Beautiful are going to be bringing out just that. Looks like they're going for a Mercy-based dive composition. Ding's going to be left on the low ground, however, he's going to be very vulnerable. Craggy's going to be his main hunter. We'll have to see if they can effectively protect Ding against Craggy's sort of trespasses.
Yeah, now Shadow is getting the double pocket. He's got Harmony Orb on him, or at least he did do until Ding just LOS'd him a little bit. And here comes the dive. Instantly, though, that Winston is going to get discorded. They're going to have to be fairly careful. Doesn't like they're going to be out of control for the time being. Fusion's up in midair, gets a couple of shurikens in his butt, and he's going to go down. And in fact, in a lot of trouble now. Pocket has found himself in the wrong place as well. Best and Shadow making mean work of him. Good stuff is going to fall. Crusade and Kib are on the low ground here. Still have that damage boost. They've already acquired 2 ticks, however.
Indeed, they have, and that was incredibly intelligent from Young and Beautiful. They decided not to dive deep onto Pocket. Instead, they dived after Happy Cool and Fusions, making sure they were going onto these meaty targets of the tanks. But it wasn't to try and kill them, it was because they wanted Kib to forgo the high ground, move onto their back so that he didn't have all of those sight lines easily onto the point, and that meant that Young and Beautiful could post up there, start accruing ticks. And once you're accruing those ticks, the pressure is on for British Hurricane to touch the point, to move out of position, to forgo their plans in order to try and play that objective. And they played that perfectly. Young and Beautiful, their reward, 5 minutes 15 in the time bank. They've got a pulse bomb ready to go, and Shadow's almost ready to bring out the silverware. Yeah,
well, they're not pushing up too far, though. We've seen a lot of teams now push up to almost their spawn. Gustav's going to go down. Fusions was just free to do. Look, he's even killing Ding. 2 supports now down for the side of Young and Beautiful. Just left completely alone. Shadow managed to find 2 kills of his own, but realistically, they're just going to get rezzed, and they can push up right to the Young and Beautiful spawn now.
Shadow's in trouble now. He may decide to fall off the edge here. Haficool's going to be the one to officially get the boop, so Shadow's going to have a nice little safari down there, explore the wildlife, explore the lower levels of Numbani before he respawns with that blade. He's got to worry about Pocket, however, almost with that Transcendence. A very optimistic pulse bomb coming through from Craggy, falls just wide of Ding. That means the Transcendence is going to be available.
There's the blade, there's the visor as well. He doesn't manage to get him, he went up in the air. Tensi takes out Fusions too. He's still trying to find additional targets. Craggy is going to be just one of them. Rez in midair, not where you want to be, although he does manage to secure it. However, Fusions, you're going to have to get out of there rather quickly. Lays down the bubble, he's getting chased up to his spawn. No leap, nothing.
Why did you res me?
Yeah, why did you res me? Does manage to get out in the end though. Crusade doesn't, well, suffers not a similar fate. Ends up falling regardless. British Hurricane, they do have a couple of ults to come in with here. Fusions almost has that primal rage. Maybe they want to try for another hold.
However, they are going up against a pretty stacked lineup from Young and Beautiful. 4 ultimates to their name. They only spent 2 in that last engagement. Pocket, however, has that all-important Transcendence, but Fusion's diving in deep, getting some poke onto Sani at the moment, but the remainder of his team need to join it.
All right, Sani now in the front line. There's the Transcendence coming out through from Ding. He's just going to sit on the cart, keeping everybody alive. Fusion's going extremely low in the primal rage, but Craggy is already going to fall. Shadow building up to a 60% towards that Dragon Blade. Look how far they're playing up right now. Playing in and outside the bubble. Pocket is going to fall, and our Crusade once again is going to be the target of the Cyborg Ninja. Kib kind of lost both his supports. Was like, hey man, I don't want anything to do with this. It's going to back up. Hafico is going to fall as well. And Young and Beautiful securing this second point with a very healthy time bank. 4 minutes and 45 seconds to go.
And I did say at the beginning of this series that Ben Best has a very good Rhine. I think it's better than his Winston, but here we see Young and Beautiful trying to exploit a couple of weaknesses of British Hurricane. We've seen them jaws all the way through the season, an incredibly aggressive team. You talked about controlling 75% of the map, but here it's Young and Beautiful who are bringing the aggression when they see a little bit of an opening from British Hurricane. They're not moving too far forward yet. They need to move that payload though. Get Ding on there, boys. There we go. Let's realize we have an objective to move, but Craggy on the back has a different objective. It's going to be Ding.
Yeah, you say that. It's like, Ding, get on the cart, and the pulse bomb already tags on him. He's going to take out Gustav as well. Shadow's going to get some revenge, but Dempsey is going to make short work of those tanks in the front line. But with the rest of his team going down, he's going to have to back off and just set off for ult charge for the time being. But look at the ultimate economy bank here. Legday, Young and Beautiful now have 4 online. Transcendence not available for Pocket. This is the big chance here for Shadow to finally pop off.
Yeah, Shadow's a very happy boy. Himself and Pocket are now on staggered sort of timings with their ultimates. It's rare that they're going to have both up at the same time, so Shadow's got a clear landing strip here against British Hurricane. The question is, what's his main target going to be? Kib once again has the tactical visor to try and counter it. They can lay down a lot of healing onto him. He's going to require the damage boost from Gustav potentially to cut through all of that healing.
Happy already going really low. There's the damage boost. There's the Dragon Blade. Kib is going to fall. That tactical visor was used as well, Legday, so not going to be available for the next upcoming fight. 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. Guardian Angel was used, or Valkyrie I should say, sorry, from Crusade. Is going to find the resurrection onto Pocket for the time being, and Craggy end up targeting those tanks once again. As soon as Shadow loses that support network, he finds it extremely hard to find his way onto the back line, and it doesn't result in really all of anything.
You can see just how synergized British Hurricane's dive portion of their team is. Fusions, Hafical, Craggy. They lost Pocket, they lost Kib, they lost some ultimates along the way as well, but they had such good target focus, making sure that Young and Beautiful were pretty much destroyed in the backline, meaning that they couldn't move the cart, despite the investment of ultimates there. Look at where that cart is, just barely moved at all.
Well, we got Shadow now on the McCree instead, so a pick that we haven't seen a whole bunch of is now finally coming to the forefront. Craggy trying to find another pulse bomb, although he hasn't built it up just yet. Happygol gets chased straight out and actually decides to use the self-destruct to get an instant remake. They know this is very, very crucial that they don't lose any more members as Craggy ends up falling to Ding. Shadow now moving forward. He has that Transcendence to help him heal up so he doesn't actually go down rather quickly. And now a Transcendence from British Hurricane will force them back.
Oh, Pocket being incredibly aggressive there. Bembest going to try and punish him. Shadow with the reload, with the high noon, but it doesn't like Gustav. Oh, they're back into save you with the self-destruct. That's what they call a shepherd.
No.
He may be a cowboy, though.
Shepherd Cowboy, I don't know if I've ever seen one, I'm not going to lie. Shadow going extremely low, but it doesn't seem to matter. He's on that cart with the rest of his team. Zany is moving up as well. Craggy is going to meet the floor once again. Ding is now finally up and resurrected. 40% on that ult, so they don't really have much overall healing team-wide healing apart from Gustav popping that Valkyrie, which he just so has done. 1 minute and 40 seconds left. There are only a few meters remaining, and Shadow's got all the space to work with now.
All the space he needs, and that was a perfect goal from Fusions to make sure that Flashbang wasn't going to affect him, but now Shadow has a shooting gallery and potentially a damage boost as well.
Oh, he's going extremely low, playing Burrow. They're aggressive. There's the ultimate. Also, Deadeye coming out, not using it to reload this time, just using it to get some AoE. Ding finds Kib. There's the hit. It only lands on the monkey for the time being, but Craggy ends up paying the price. The flashbang and the headshot, easy clean up for him. Ding finally gets that Transcendence on time, but it's too little, too late, as they end up getting wiped. British Hurricane had the spawn advantage, and they have the man advantage at the end of it all.
British Hurricane there, perfect play around that zoning Deadeye, making sure that Kib was playing off to the right in the safety of the building. They put Crusade up in the air. With that Valkyrie, he can fly, so he went behind the left building, but now Crusade's going to be swapping over to that Lucio. A little bit less healing available here. Fusions and Hafical, they're going to be a bit more vulnerable as we move into this potentially final fight. There are 50 seconds remaining. Depends how much setup time Young and Beautiful want to take. They've got maybe 2 fights here, but they know exactly where British Hurricane are going to be hanging out.
Oh man, that's the 3rd time in a row they've hung out in that small little corridor. Shadow is not having it there. Bembest gets stuck inside his own bubble, is half HP, so none of the healers can actually reach him, and Craggy takes out Ding as well. The deflect, I didn't even sure where that went. I hope it didn't stun Gustav. 28 seconds remaining now, and British Hurricane do find another wipe, but Young and Beautiful, they've got a couple of ults to work with, but they're going to have to pull the trigger fast.
British Hurricane made such a quick dive there when Bembest went down because they didn't want any sort of res to be coming through from the side of Young and Beautiful. And now Gustav, he's forgotten the mercy. He's gone over to the emergency Lucio. The speed boost is in session. Everyone's feeling real quick time over here. They've got to go fast. 8 seconds left. They need to touch the cart. It's a couple of meters from the finish, but the stalwart guard there, Hafical with the self-destruct. Here it comes.
There is Ding with the Transcendence. That self-destruct finds Shatter in the end of it, so that's a big boot of DPS actually going down already. Fusion's now trying to protect his back line, and Gustav was trying to get some wall ride action, trying to disrupt the tanks, but it was too little too late. Pocket is going to fall as well, and Craggy just meeting these tanks. That pulse bomb right onto Tensi secures his kill at the end. Overtime ticking through. Man advantage now for Hurricane. Bembest, last member alive in his own bubble, is going to say goodbye. Very, very quick change over to the Sombra from Shatter, but it was all over, all said and done. Young and Beautiful end up securing 2 points, almost the 3rd, and now it's time for Hurricane to go on the offense.
And their first one was incredibly speedy. They really did their homework here, understood the sort of defense that they're going to be going up against from British Hurricane, forcing Kib off the high ground, meaning that he had to take a less optimal position if he wanted to contest. And here I want to talk about Kib. Didn't show up in the kill feed that much, but that's okay, because here, Kib, he played a very good supportive DPS role. Usually we can see between Kib and Craggy, they're both superstars when it comes to DPS draws, but you can't both have 2 DPS that are fragging all the time. You've got to have one who's more about protecting your supports, trying to win out the tank battles and lay down some non-lethal damage, some poke to try and facilitate the other DPS. Here, Kib did that perfectly on the soldier, making sure Craggy could always go in and get the kills for himself.
Well, if you look at that last point in a geographical way, you're thinking about the sightlines coming through, and both range DPS can sit so far back, it's very easy to give your supports the support and healing you need from that Bionic field. Shatter switching over to the McCree isn't going to quite be able to provide that. Is fairly weak to dives as well on the McCree. The only source of CC or any mobility you have is the roll. It's not going to help the rest of your supports in the flashbang if you can find a couple of targets. So, like you said, it was all down to Kib protecting his Zenyatta, protecting his Mercy, making sure they were staying alive. And what did he receive in return? He received a damage boost, which enabled those tactical visors to come off time and time again.
Unfortunately, 2 tactical visors in a row. All he had in his sights were a very angry Shadow who was menacingly wielding the silverware, cut down in his prime. And I want to give credit to Gustav for that. Some really well-timed damage boosts on the slashes. One of which was very impressive, was on midway through Nimbani Streets. He damage boosted the blade just in time, so it did 156 damage per slice and managed to one-shot Craggy when he didn't have that dash. He managed to dash in onto Craggy, not hit that, but damage boost meant that he could kill him in one shot. Excellent play there from Gustav, who's been steadily improving all the way through Contenders. Speaking of improvements that can be made, British Hurricane about to try to improve their scoreline, but there is already a disconnection from Fusions. We're losing our main tank coming in here. Luckily, it's not too far into a fight. This is one of the, well, it's a better time to DC. It's a weird thing to say, but it's a little bit better than DCing mid-fight at least.
Or DCing when you've got an ult, that kind of sucks as well.
Yeah, not losing much ultimate percentage, maybe 1% or so.
Oh no, that 1%.
It's a game of percentages, Jules, when you're playing at this level. That
is true, but that 1% isn't going to matter all too much. Did look like they were rolling out the gate with full dives, so not too much of a surprise there. And Shadow actually doing the same thing as Kib did in the first round, which was jump onto that soldier, hold the high ground, get received a damage boost, get received orb. It's beautiful being a soldier at that point of the game. I wish people did that to me in solo queue, but normally I'm the Zenyatta, just orbing people up and just making sure everybody stays alive.
I wonder if we're going to see Shadow make the same retreat that Kib did and give up the high ground, or if he's going to try and move into that into the corridor. Because what we saw from British Hurricane on the defense was a little bit of a sporadic spreading out when that dive came in. Bocket found himself on his own in that corridor. Usually would have a Kib there peeling for him. He was counting on the healing that would come through from the soldier and the Mercy, but because he was on that corridor on his own, no one could get to him. You can't get the Guardian Angel and then there's no sight line. You'd be moving through tanks anyway. And Kib wasn't there to lay down a biotic field.
Well, to satisfy your need for Overwatch, we're going to run a couple of highlights to see us through. Obviously, there was a small disconnection on the side of Fusions. We should be back rather shortly. And that was a big slice and dice as well. Shatter came through and managed to kill Kib mid-tactical visor. It looked like they pressed Q around the same time, so deleting that ult completely really helped them push through this Streets phase. And you can see Craggy left rather to his own devices most of the time. This guy was consistently in the back line, killing Ding and just killing off Gustav where he could.
Yeah, he was really getting those kills in. Craggy very much playing a bit more of a solo operator tracer. I said before that I'd like to see him play more of a team tracer role, but that was when Kib was stealing all the limelight, being the star DPS, but now he's free to do as he wishes, be that sort of like Gavin-esque solo operator tracer into the backline, making sure they have a pain in their backside. And that meant that they said, okay, Shadow, please, can you swap to McCree? We've got to deal with Craggy.
Well, we are jumping back in. Fusions has reconnected. That 1% of his ult, or however much it was, is going to get reclaimed rather shortly.
2% now.
Oh, yes.
The gains are being experienced.
Big old gains. It's all good. Right, now Tennessee actually holding this high ground. Benbest holding the opposite side. Kind of a classic place we see at the Winston. Fusions is going to go for the jump. Rather half HP though, and Discord is going to have to be very careful. Actually retreats down to the point, and in fact Dempsey is going to make short work of him, but Benbest is going to fall as well. And now Craggy is up on this high ground here with Kib, but look how many bodies are actually in that tight corridor. And in fact, Kib, alright, there's no bodies left because they're actually just all scattered on the floor.
Oh, those were some high value dashes and resets right there coming through from Kib. Look at his ultimate. He's building it faster than a pulse bomb. That's incredibly impressive.
That's kind of scary.
76% on the blade, and a minute is all that it took for British Hurricane to claim the first point. 5 minutes 30 in the time bank as we move forward, Jaws. Young and Beautiful sent reeling. The question is, can they set up a better defense on second point here? Kib and Crank are already moving up, trying to claim the high ground, making sure that Shadow can't get up there and have a good perch from which to lay down all that heavy fire.
Well, Hurricane not pushing as far up as they normally would. Like we mentioned before, people like to push up to that tunnel as soon as they take the first point and just have one member just sticking onto that point. Kib now with that Dragon Blade is going to wait for that Bionic field to come through. Oh no, wrong place, wrong time. Dempsey. He took out Fusions to start off with, and Kib Kid was just left in no man's land, no healers to help him out, ends up going down. That'll be Young and Beautiful for the time being, winning that fight. British Hurricane now on the defense.
And that defense was absolutely essential, because now we can see that Ding is almost going to have a Transcendence already, and he doesn't have to worry about Kib's Blade with it. He can spend it a little bit more sporadically, try and keep his tanks up and win that frontline battle. Frontline battle, however, is going to be pretty hard to win at the moment, because Saini's got to get his mech back there left, and D-Mech, they can dive him now. He's a very vulnerable target, but he's quickly building up to it. But no, 98% and he's down.
Oh, there's the Transcendence coming through as well from Pocket. Shadow, pop that tactical visor, just spraying straight on top of that bus at the moment. Not quite finding any targets. Kib does take a couple of rockets and is going to have to dash away as he's rather low. He's now trapped between Happy Cool and a car. Not where you want to be. Shadow ends up going down, overextending it seems yet again on this soldier pick. Happy Cool going extremely low, but he has got the back off of his healers. Although I say that as Crusade ends up demeching it.
A loss of mech here for Happy Cool could prove very fruitful in the battles to come. He still has about 50% to accrue before the next fight. If Young and Beautiful can come in quickly, try and take advantage of that, they may be able to remove him. British Hurricane, they aren't running a mercy here. No reses, no second chances, Jaws, but no second chances to Young and Beautiful on this next point either, because they're about to roll into the completion here of second. Young and Beautiful look poised to try and contain this. Saini's ready to come in at a moment's notice.
Yeah, but look at all the pre-fire coming through. Saini actually already gets demech, but the self-destruct will enable him to remech very, very shortly. Primal Rage to bash everybody away. They've only got 2 meters left, so if they can find a couple of boops here, they might just be able to just cap it. Seeing Tenzi goes down once again, that mech falling around him, and that'll be Hurricane just pushing forward. Craggy in such a dominant position as well. No one's paying attention to him whatsoever. Just gets the recall there to reposition. Craggy finds one, Crusade finding another. Shadow didn't stand a chance, kind of gave up on the spot. Goes for the full reset. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Young and Beautiful now right against the wall.
And we saw Craggy really understand his abilities there. He went in onto Ding, but he knew that he couldn't take the fight against both Ding and Shadow. That Harmony Orb and the Discord Orb, as well as the Soldier, was going to be too much fire for him to survive. So instead he decided he was going to take up their time. He was going to dodge around, make sure those two were not involved in the fight. That's basically a 2-for-1 trade for a couple of seconds. But now, Young and Beautiful, they're going to have to come back in. They've got a couple of support ultimates.
Very aggressive engage again. Kib receives a sound barrier to stay alive during the play, but that Transcendence coming out from Young and Beautiful is going to save him for the time being, but it doesn't seem to matter as soon as he popped out of it. Craggy was there with the pulse pistols, did manage to take out Ding, and now it's Hurricane with a few meters remaining to actually take this game through and through and lead them on to match point as well. Craggy goes down to Ben Best in the back line, or in fact, I think that was in the front line there, Legday. They got a couple of minutes remaining. They're actually going to disengage here because they know Craggy is down. He's got that pulse bomb available to him soon, so rather smart disengage from Hurricane.
And it may have been a pretty dominant fight, impressive even, but British Hurricane there, they used 2 support ultimates at the same time. They brought out both the sound barrier and they used the Transcendence as well, and they may have come to regret that as we move into this next fight here. It meant that they couldn't save Craggy from the ingresses of Ben Best, and already Bucket's down in the back to Dempsey. They're going to have to rebuild this ultimate bank. Craggy already, however, is trying to get there, 87%, but cut down in his prime.
And this is exactly what we mentioned. Bucket going down really early on speaks to how aggressive Hurricane like to play, and sometimes Crusade isn't there to peel, and it's very hard to peel against someone like a Tracer and a Genji matching up. However, Hurricane going for a full switch up here, so maybe it was a bait all along here, like I'm not entirely sure it was, but they're going for this quad tank setup instead, with Bucket actually changing over to the Moira.
Yeah, but Shadow's in the back, he's almost got an EMP, he's already going to bring out the second, but he gets it, and in comes a deep dive.
Oh no, Saini finds 2 as well. Not what Hurricane wanted to see as soon as they came out of the quad tank. That EMP straight on their faces, and that just ends it all. And the Kib is just going to hang around till the rest of his team actually respawn. Happy Cool going for the full reset.
A sigh of relief there from Bucket, knowing that the EMP was there waiting for him. If he was on Zenyatta, it would have been all the swifter his demise here. Happy Cool, the only member of British Hurricane with an ultimate ready. Crusade's going to be joining him soon with a sound barrier, but Gustav's going to have the answer, 96% already. Ding did invest the Transcendence there, however, so we're going to be a little bit low on healing on the side of Young and Beautiful for the remainder of this fight. Shadow's desperately trying to build up towards that EMP, it's so effective, but you guys need to get on the point, British Hurricane. You can rotate as much as you want.
Ding's going to a lot of trouble there. That sound barrier just came down an inch too late. Self-destruct's going to come through as well. Kib's just following up Crusade. Sound barrier or not, my friend, you're still going to get hurt. Can't actually block that much damage at least. Happy Cool is going to find Ben Best as well, and Saini does get demeched and killed. Only a couple of meters remaining. Shadow trying to duck, dip, dive and dodge underneath the cart, but it was all too late for them. Shadow 50%, but is extremely low. Has to wait for the rest of his team, but someone's going to touch right now.
There's a sound barrier coming in, but so is Ben Best. The Primal Rage has arrived. Anger management is in session, courtesy of Crusade.
All right, there's a sound barrier landing on every single one of members of British Hurricane. However, you've got to think of all of the damage coming through from there. them. There's the Graviton Surge, straight onto Gustav, straight onto Sammy, and there's the Shadow to finish it off as well. British Hurricane with the combo of Oats who's managed to finish it off and lead us to match point.
Absolutely, Hurricane are going to be sitting pretty 2-0 here as they complete Numbani, but I really want to talk about a microplay there that came from Hafikul. We saw Gustav trying his best to save his support compatriot Ding with that sound barrier, but Hafikul not only did he kill Ding beforehand, he also blocked Gustav in that building with his body. And when Gustav used that sound barrier in the building, it only afflicted him. The remainder of his team got no overshield, so they were just as vulnerable. And Gustav was quickly taken down. 500 overshield. It's not that much when you're just a lone Lucia.
Yeah, you could see Kib just like left click, left click, left click, hook, left click, and it's like, well, the sound barrier is gone now. It was already ticking down, but that will be a match point now coming through for Hurricane. Young and Beautiful now, they're on the back foot. Momentum is in favour of Hurricane, and we know what happens when that does come about. 4-0s more often than not throughout the entirety of the group stages. Angry Titans took them to 3-2, but there was no momentum from them for the first game. This time around is definitely in their core. That Dodge Viper is revving its engines. This might be one final ride for Young and Beautiful. We'll be back after these.